If you're new to Python and you want to get started with data science programming, I've got a super easy way for you to install Python with all the data science libraries included on your Windows machine. Hey everyone, welcome to the channel. I'm Leon. If you want to get started with data science programming as quickly as possible, I'm going to show you something called Anaconda, which is a Python distribution for data science. If you don't know what a distribution is, it's basically a bundle containing Python with a bunch of extra tools and libraries. Libraries are basically just a bunch of code that somebody else has written that you can import into your own code. As a bonus, I'm also going to show you how to install Python using something called Miniconda, which is just a bare bones version of Anaconda. The reason I'm showing you these two is because they're currently the most popular way of installing Python for data science. I'll also put the timestamp somewhere up here in case you want to skip ahead directly to the installation process. Let's get right into it. First, let's decide whether you actually need Anaconda or Miniconda. If you're somebody that just wants to dive right in with Python installed and everything included, then I just go right ahead with Anaconda. And that's because Anaconda already comes with all the data science libraries that you'll probably ever need in the beginning of your data science journey. If instead you want Python installed with just the bare necessities, then Miniconda is the way to go. Alright, so before we actually install anything, I'm going to explain to you what Conda is, because you're going to be seeing that word a lot after this video. I don't want you installing something and then later being like, okay, what the heck is this? You probably noticed by now that Anaconda and Miniconda both contain the word Conda, and that's because Conda is actually a package manager. It basically allows you to install and manage additional libraries that aren't part of the Python standard library. Now, Python actually already has a package manager by default called pip. But the difference between them is that Conda can do more than what pip does. For example, Conda also allows you to manage Python environments, whereas pip can't. Conda is also Python agnostic, meaning that you can install even R libraries if you wanted to, and the list goes on. So the first thing I'm going to show you is how to install Python using Anaconda. You have to head over to the website that I've linked in the description box down below. So if you click on that, you'll come to the Anaconda download page, and you'll see this big download button here that you can click on. So make sure that it fits your operating system. If you want to download a different version, you'll have to scroll all the way down to the bottom, and then you should see different installers. So if you have a 32-bit system, for example, you can just download that here. And you might have noticed that the download is actually pretty big. So if you look here, it's at least 400 megabytes. Anaconda recommends that you should have at least 3 gigabytes available on your hard disk. So if you don't have at least 3 gigabytes, I would recommend deleting something or freeing up some space some other way. Because yeah, it's a pretty big installation, and that's because, like I said, it includes all of the data science libraries that you'll probably ever need. But the price to pay is that you need some disk space for that. So once you've downloaded it, run the installer and just follow the instructions. So next, I agree. Install for just me. Yeah, that's okay with me. And then you'll come to this page. So you'll see 2 tick boxes, and I would recommend just leaving the bottom one ticked. And it says here it's not recommended to tick the top one unless you know what you're doing, basically. So once you're okay with that, click on install. Now it's going to take a while. Last time I installed this, it took like 15 to 20 minutes to install. So I'm just going to fast forward the video. Oh, it's done. I'm sure it took longer last time, but yeah. Anyway, you click on next and next, and then there's some recommended resources here. So if you leave these ticked, you'll get some guides, basically. I think they're pretty nice to check out. So if you want to, you can look at that as well, but I'm going to leave them unticked. So if you're like me, you're probably sat there thinking, okay, what the hell do I do now? You know, I clicked finish and then nothing popped up. Well, actually, Anaconda has something called Anaconda Navigator, and it's a graphical user interface that allows you to manage everything within this Anaconda environment. So if you're watching this tutorial, I assume you're using a Windows PC. Otherwise, what are you doing here? And the best part about Windows is you can just head over to the search bar and you can type in Anaconda Navigator, and then you should see the app pop up. So just click on that and then you'll see this pop up. So this is the Anaconda Navigator, and you'll see straight away all the apps that are already installed. For example, like you can even install RStudio if you wanted to, just by clicking install. So here you manage all the apps. And then on the left hand side as well, you have this environments tab. An environment is basically like another separate copy of Python with a different set of libraries. It's really useful if you're doing different projects with different requirements. And that's basically it. So if I go back to home and I want to use, for example, Jupyter Lab, if I click on launch, and then you'll get this. So this is Jupyter Lab. If you're not familiar with Jupyter, basically allows you to create these things called notebooks. And if I wanted to create a notebook, I just go here and click on this, and it creates a new notebook for me. And then I can just do some code just to make sure it works. So if I use a popular data science library like pandas, then if I type this and click run, then yeah, so no errors, it works, right? So I've got the libraries, I can now start coding. So if I do something as simple as like this, so converting some list into a data frame and then printing the data frame. So it works, right? So I've got the result here. Everything's fine. I can start coding. I can start doing my data science projects this way. If you're a little bit more familiar with using a prompt, then actually you can use something called an Anaconda prompt. So if I go to the search bar again and type in Anaconda prompt and click on this, you'll see this black window. So this is Conda, and you can interact with Conda this way, right? So you don't have to do everything using the Anaconda navigator. If you're a bit more comfortable with doing it this way, you can do that as well. So for example, if I want to see all the libraries I've installed, if I just type in Conda list, all the libraries will pop up. And these should be exactly the same as what you would see in here in the environments tab, right? And so if you're not sure which environment you're in, you can see that on the left hand side as well. So it says base. If I go to environments and I look at the same environment here, base, I should see exactly the same installed libraries. All right, so if you're looking for something completely bare bones, so without the graphical user interface and without all those libraries installed for you already, then Miniconda is the one that you want to use. So to download Miniconda, you'll have to head over to this page, which I've put in the description box down below. And you'll have to pick the one that fits your operating system. For us, it's going to be the Windows ones. I'm going to need a 64-bit one, but if you want some older versions of Miniconda, for example, if you want to, for some reason, use an older version of Python, if you scroll down, there's also more installers as well, right? So you can check those out if you want. But for me, I just want the latest one, and I'm using a 64-bit Windows. So I'm going to click on that, and then I'm going to download it. And then I'm going to run the installer and then just click through. So yep, I agree, and install for just me. And yep, okay with that. And again, you'll have these tick boxes. Just ignore the top one unless you know what you're doing. So I'm going to click on install. And since Miniconda is so lightweight, it shouldn't take that long to install, right? So it only took me a couple of minutes to install if I just click on next. And then if I want to use the Anaconda resources, I can leave these ticked, but I'm not going to need those. So I'm going to untick them and then click finish, right? So like I said before, it's not going to include a graphical user interface. So there's no need for me to search for Anaconda Navigator because nothing's going to come up this time. Instead, I'm going to have to use Conda. So like before, I'm going to have to search Anaconda prompt. So click on that. And then now I'm going to have to do everything from here. For example, if I do Conda and list, I can see all the environments that I have. I've only got one at the moment. And if I want to see all the libraries that I've installed, I've got like what, 20, 25 libraries. Much lower than the amount that you would get if you install using Anaconda. And if you just have a look through the list, you'll notice you don't really have any data science libraries already installed, right? So for example, like if I want to use Jupyter, I can see it's not installed. If I type in Jupyter Lab, nothing's going to work, right? So this is really good for people who want something extremely lightweight and bare bones so they can just do their own thing. If you're fairly new to Python or programming in general, I wouldn't recommend installing Python this way. Instead, I would use Anaconda. So that's it from me. Hopefully it's been useful. I've also got some more content up here as well that you can check out. And I think I'm going to keep doing more of these kinds of basic tutorials. So if you want to stay updated, please like and subscribe to the channel. You can also follow me on my social media. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.